Y254. Imagine.
Right, a very good evening to you wherever you're tuning from. Thank you for choosing Y254 News. This is Y254 TV on your screens coming to you. We are on Tuesday, that is the 30th of April 2018. It is all about matters current affairs, and tonight we are discussing about scammers. Have you been aware? If most of you have noticed the trend on social media, we have been having issues to do with, for example, the deputy governor being in a position whereby he was caught with somebody. But we are asking the question tonight, are politicians being targeted by scammers? Now, we also had a topic in Parliament whereby MPs, members of Parliament, were receiving nudes and photos that wanted them to send money to people. Now, tonight we're asking the questions, are politicians being targeted by scammers? Send us a text to 22162, starting with the word news. Tell us what you think. We are joined in studio with two guests. The closest to me is Daniel Orongo, who is a political analyst, and we have Collins Mango, who is a lawyer. We shall be joining them in just a little bit, but now we shall go into the headlines. Stay tuned for that discussion coming up after the news bulletin. On to our first story. My name is Aguko. Now, cases of human rights violation in Kenya have increased in the first quarter of 2018 compared to last year, with the number of extrajudicial killings in major towns rising. Now, according to reports, during the first quarter of 2018, there were 1,895 cases of human rights violations reported across the country, compared to 1,383 in the last quarter of 2017. Now, Doreen Arange with that story.
Rights agency reveals there was a rise in extrajudicial killings, mainly in the slums of Nairobi, Mombasa, and Nakuru counties. According to the report by Haki Africa, the number of extrajudicial killings went up drastically to over 65 during the first quarter of 2018. The report shows that during the first quarter of this year, there were 1,895 cases of human rights violations reported across the country, compared to 1,383 in the last quarter of 2017. Collins Owor, a director at Haki Africa, said that in the coast region, there were also several cases of disappearances, with a majority being male youth. The group further said that the police are failing to address insecurity and at the same time operating with impunity, violating fundamental freedoms of people.
By 35% compared to the last quarter of 2017. Of 2017. 37% compared to the quarter of 2017. This by any means is alarming and must be addressed urgently with the seriousness it deserves.
Doreen Arange for Y News.
Now, 6 people have been killed by raging floods and hundreds displaced in heavy rains as the rains continue to pour havoc in Nyanza region. Now, Ruth Odinga, that is the Kisumu County Director of Special Programs, said that the region has been affected by water coming down from the Rift Valley. In Kisumu, 4 people were swept away by the water floods and 1,800 people have been displaced.
Rains are expected throughout the whole week, with regions such as Nairobi, central Kenya, Mombasa, and Nyanza experiencing heavy downpour. Surely, when it rains, it pours. The current state throughout the country has left residents worried and perplexed. In Kisumu, 4 people were reported dead after being swept away by floods and left 1,800 people displaced. Deaths were also reported in Nyando, Nyakach, Chulaimbo, and Muhoroni. Apart from the raging waters claiming lives, area residents have also been forced to vacate their homes. The County Director of Special Programs Ruth Odinga said that the region has been affected by water coming down the Rift Valley, killing people and destroying property. She added that several rivers in the county, including Nyando, broke their banks and that the county has established relief centers for flood victims and urges the government to step in, saying that more boats are needed to enable them to evacuate the elderly and the sickly. Reporting for Y254, my name is Natasha Agunda.
Transport along Kisumu, Kakamega and Mamboleo Miwani roads were temporarily paralyzed today in the morning as locals protest the poor state of road in the the Mamboleo Miwani Chemelil road. The locals blocked the two major roads, causing heavy traffic jam as passengers were forced to trek to work. Yvonne Anyula with the story.
This is the second major protest held over the poor state of the Mamboleo Miwani Road, with locals blaming the local leaders for failing to push the national government to work on the roads. It took the intervention of police officers who fired tear gas to break up the protest and remove barricades that were placed on the road. The locals also complained of the constant breakdown of the vehicles occasioned by the state of the road. They appealed to President Uhuru Kenyatta to improve infrastructure in the area as part of his big for agenda in his last term in office. Yvonne Anula reporting for Y254.
Now, Kenyan teenager, that is Ronex Kipruto, clocked the fastest 10-kilometer time ever on U.S. soil at the UAE Healthy Kidney 10K in New York City Central Park on Sunday. The 18-year-old clocked 27 minutes and 8 seconds to eclipse the previous U.S. all-corners mark of 27 minutes and 11 seconds set by Sami Kipketer in New Orleans in 2002. His time in the 17th fastest ever run on the record-eligible course.
Kipruto finished 11 seconds ahead of compatriot Matthew Kimeli, who finished seconds in 27 minutes and 19 seconds. Rounding out to the men's podium was Ethiopia's Teshome Mokenen, placing third in a time of 28 minutes and 10 seconds. Kipruto smashed the previous event record of 27 minutes and 35 seconds set by world record holder Leonard Patrick Omon of Kenya in 2011. Ethiopia's Boze Diriba won the women's race in 32 minutes and 4 seconds, just ahead of compatriot Aslefesh Maja, who clocked 32 minutes 6 seconds. Monica Ngigi of Kenya finished third for the second consecutive in 32 minutes and 15 seconds.
Thank you, Patricia Muriki, for the story. On to our final story of the night. The United States President, that is Donald Trump, has urged the Republicans to keep control of the House of Representatives to save him from being impeached by the Democrats. Hilary Dereva with the story.
Currently hold a 235 to 193 advantage in the lower chamber of the U.S. Congress, but some Democrats believe that with Mr. Trump's low approval rating and strong enthusiasm among its grassroots supporters, they can flip the 24 Republicans they would need to retake in the November midterm elections. Speaking to his supporters in Michigan at a rally held in preference to attending the White House Correspondents' Dinner in Washington, Mr. Trump said it was vital to retain the control of the House, saying that they need not to listen to Maxine Waters, who is going around advocating for Trump's impeachment. Congresswoman of California is among those Democrats who frequently call on Mr. Trump to resign or face impeachment. However, House Minority Leader Nancy Pelosi has warned against Democratic efforts to impeach Mr. Trump, saying it would end up harming the party before the midterms. Dereva Hillary for Y254 News.
Thank you for being here.
Republicans currently hold a 235 to 193 advantage in the lower chamber of the U.S. Congress, but some Democrats believe that with Mr. Trump's
To the end of the bulletin, which brings us to the discussion, and we are about to take a short break in a little while. Our discussion tonight is the question that we are asking: are politicians being targeted by scammers? Do you think that politicians in Kenya are being targeted by scammers? Send us a text to 22162 starting with the word news. 22162 starting with the word news. We'll be back after this short break. I'll be joined by my colleagues here. That is a political analyst, Daniel Orongo, and Collins Mago, who is a lawyer. We are now taking this short break. Ensure that you don't go away. We'll be back after this short while. Keep it locked here. This is Y254 News.
Y254. Imagine.
Welcome to Mega Dollar Lottery. To play Mega Dollar is very easy. Go to Lipa na M-Pesa, choose Pay Bill, enter business number 295888, account name Mega. Deposit 10 shillings or more. Enter your PIN, then choose any 10 numbers between 1 and 80. Send to 29588. Draw is after every 4 minutes. You can win thousands of shillings or up to the 30 million shillings jackpot. Deposit, play, win with Mega Dollar.
Unatega guu mjini na kuungana nami kila Jumatatu kuanzia saa 1:30 mpaka saa 3:30. Tesi Afrika Mashariki, tuvuruge mji. Mwambie rafiki yako. Ndani ya Y Mashariki itakuwa ni East African Party. Unajua?
Hawatoweza.
Welcome back. This is Y254 News. We are discussing and we are talking about politics, matters, scamming. Are politicians being targeted by scammers? Join me with Daniel Orongo, who is a political analyst. Help me answer these questions. Are they being targeted by scammers?
Well, the answer is yes and no.
Yes and no.
Yeah, we really do not have an ultimate answer to this. But there are genuine cases where these the politicians being the people who are at an upper class, considerate to the rest, have become a target for scammers, have become a target for extortionists, and it's approved for what we've been seeing, that there are cases where you can actually see from the trail of conversation or from what is aired out that they are actually a clique and a group of extortionists, very well arranged and very organized gang or criminal activities that are looking towards extorting not only politicians but even those who are considerably wealthy within the society. And politicians being people who are relatively considered wealthy in our society, definitely they become a target. No, because some of these issues or sagas we've been having around here for a long time shows towards a direction where there is an erosion, especially on morals and values, as stipulated in Chapter 6 of the Constitution. Probably the lawyer will assist us. But we are seeing, even as the stories are being decorated to save the faces of people who find themselves. In the latest case, for example, the deputy governor. I mean, the narration doesn't add up, especially when you begin to say that, for example, you are taken somewhere and forced to to this kind of act. And we begin
cannot
to
just be forced there.
How do you be forced and you have a total security 24 hours your security that the government has issued to you? So there is a lot that meets the eye that desired actually to be asked. That's why I say it is yes and no.
Yes and no.
Yeah.
What do you think, Collins? Are they being scammed? Are they targets?
Thank you very much for having me. Perhaps Daniel should have given us a definite answer, being a political analyst. Perhaps these people. But just to go to the question, I think this is something that has been going on for a very long time.
Right.
In the Republic. Kenyans have been making jokes about being targeted by people in committee and the like, and they seem so far for the politicians, right, until it has gotten to their doorstep, is when they've known that it's real out here, and these conmen are not just ordinary conmen for the other day, but they are cartels, in that they have connections, they have their numbers, they even have their ID cards. Some of them that you see will even register M-Pesa alliances in their lines, which means they have personal information about these honorable members. So it has been long coming in terms of the thing being there for the longest time. The police seem not to have done enough to stop them when they began. So they are at the peak of their thing. Now they fear no one and they favor no one. They are up everyone's back. Yes.
So yes, they are being targeted.
Yes, they are being targeted just like any other Kenyan.
Wow.
Just like any other Kenyan.
On the note that you've just given, we have a clip that we would like to play for you where you are tuned in. We had something that happened a while back in the Kenyan parliament, whereby we have a politician who complained about something, and this is something that we all know about. Have a look at this clip.
Number of all the male members of parliament in the 11th parliament and in this 12th parliament. And what she does, the speaker, she posts all the most obscene photos and sent to members of parliament. And the question that I have asked, Mr. Speaker, is how did this person manage to get the telephone numbers of all the male? I am sure the female must also have another victim. Yes. I am not sure, but I'm sure even our women colleagues will speak for themselves. But let me speak for. I am sure my colleagues will agree with me. And I am told she lives somewhere in Dandora. Speaker, it's very, very ugly. She sends very obscene, dirty. And we are ready to if you allow us to give the number and even ask.
Now, that is an interesting clip there. We have someone who had, some people are laughing. You see, the aspect of people being scammed goes into parliament as a debate. And now, if it is something that is being debated in parliament, then what about the common mananchi who receives texts, who receive phone calls from scammers? Then who is safe? If the MPs, if our leaders are the ones who are being scammed, then who is safe in this country?
No one is safe. No one is safe. And you saw just the other day the deputy governor of Kenyatta was a victim. No one is safe. And just to talk more into it, I mean, it is very sad. These honorable members, most of them are the age of our parents. So you can imagine, our parents complaining, receiving these, nude and obscene photos from, female adults and the like. So it's not even funny to start with. I've seen, of course, Bodwale giving it a light note. But I know at the end of the day, when he goes home, they are worried. They are worried group of people. And what I'm saying is that what they are sharing now is what probably most Kenyans are sharing in each corner of the republic. This thing is for real. And I think the legislature has moved with speed and has now also, they're passing a legislation which is now tough on cyber crimes and people who share these things also on social media. I mean, you should also, as an adult, before you send some of these things to a friend, to a colleague,
just think about it. What are you sharing?
All right.
Is it something that a person of right mind should be happy sharing? I mean, the debate has now moved from pornographic sites and pornographic. It has, you know, moved from that, and it has gone now to people's mobile numbers. And I mean, these are statesmen. If we had a word like that in Kenya, reputable members of the republic. So if it can get to them, then it means that there is a problem. So one thing they have done right, they have moved with speed. They have moved. It's probably in its final stages, and people who probably share this for money or for capital gain will have it rough in the coming days.
Daniel, I'm seeing you smiling.
Yeah,
you seem to be contradicting to have a contradicting point to what he is saying.
Well, I think my point of departure is very clear. Like I said in my opening remarks, like, you know, we actually rush politics. We are making laws probably out of rush because we want something, what we call being reactive as opposed to being proactive, you know. And you see, like, your question is very clear. What about the common mananchi if this has already reached that kind of a platform, a legislative platform? And you see, I began by saying it actually is a pictorial of a moral decay of a society. You understand? Where we are having leaders when Duale asked, how did this man obtain the numbers of members of parliament? If some of us, even within a local, being wananchi, even difficult for us to obtain the official numbers of our members of parliament, how did this comer obtain an official? And this is a number of a member of a legislative assembly. And you see, the legislators are crying foul because it reached to a level where probably they cannot, what is going on is reached another very high level that is proving to be a challenge for them. So I keep on saying it's a reflection of what our society is. Because if, for example, why would we rush to make a decision of a tough security of for example, cybercrime law, to make it convenience for our members of parliament not become a target, when the citizens are receiving messages from committee, always, like you said, and sometimes you even receive these messages from unknown people. Why do our members of parliament, it only reach to their level, that is when they rush to make legislation. So, starting from a political level, I would like to say that everything, including this scam, being politicized, you understand? That it has to hit hard on some individuals who are considered to be on a different hierarchy for laws to be made. While the citizens are bearing this kind of what we call a moral decay in our society. So, probably that is how I see it. And like you said, it is very organized. Even within the house, for a scammer to get the number, you know, for a scammer to get the number of official number of these members of legislative assembly, it means somebody is providing the numbers.
Now,
yes.
Let me cut you short here. Y254 updates is the hashtag. Hashtag Y254 updates. SMS us on 22162. Starting with the word news. Tell us what you think. Are politicians being targeted by scammers? Now, on to what you had said here. We have an application that most subscribers, most mobile phone users have in their phones. That is Truecaller. Now, Truecaller has noted that spam calls and SMSs are on the rise, whereas most of them are just scams targeting gullible and uninformed Kenyans. And based on a report done by Truecaller, all spam calls that were made in Kenya, that is in 2017, last year, 91% are scams because they were made by people and not businessmen. And these are disturbing statistics because at the end of the day, they make Kenya to be at the top 20 in Africa. They make the country secure a spot at the top 20 affected by spam calls. It means that the status of Kenya as a continent, in the continent of Africa, is even under jeopardy. So what do you say? In a political analysis, does it affect the economy? does it affect the relations that Kenya might have with other countries?
Definitely. You see what probably investors always fear is an environment where there's a lot of malpractices, especially like that. Where there is probably suspicions about a level playing environment where an investor can trust that kind of environment exists in this country. And you see, we appreciate Kenya, our country, being one of the leading countries that is probably in Africa or the rest of the world that is so much ahead in terms of technology. The use of mobile platforms, the use of the subscription in the internet and its use of it. But again, that brings a challenge that you've mentioned, that Kenyans in their creative way are designing this kind of probably scam, or are falling susceptible to scam, that sometimes create a counter environment for this kind of investment. And definitely it affects the image of the country. It affects people who actually want to believe or want to invest that the country is free from such kind of business malpractices or this kind of fear coming in between. It's definitely, it affects actually the reputation of the country as far as that is concerned.
What do you think?
What I think, and this is exactly my problem, when as Kenyans we were very complacent, we were very okay, or we did not shout out as much when the big brother started to extend his pace and tamper with the privacy of each and every Kenyan. I mean, our phones are tapped, our information is not private, and that's where the problem started from. I'm not targeting any entity. What I'm saying is that Kenyans were very complacent, or they did not raise enough caution when some of these things. Some people started raising questions, as to how much, should the government say have access to my private information. And remember, Ram, that privacy is also a constitutional right. We have a right to our private, say, conversations that we have on phone, that we text. So once somebody has the right to at any time go through my box or tap my phone, it means he will tend to misbehave with that space he has. And the law, they say, is an ass. It cuts frontward and backward, or it's like a dog, which means at this time it will favor you, this time it will be against you. So what is happening here? What is happening here is that this space has provided the platform for these people, say, obtain the numbers from some individuals who are in these offices, and they are misusing these numbers in doing what they do. So we should also check our cyber laws in terms of privacy of Kenyans. And Kenyans need to be protected. And there is something he talked of at the beginning, the issue of the deputy governor. I mean, that is evidence that cannot stand in a court of law, because one, it is an illegally obtained evidence. Whoever produced that footage, where did he get? And you see, once we give space to such kind of things, is when tomorrow it will be somebody else and the other person, and I don't know where the truth of the story is, but it's something that let us leave it for the police to do the investigation. It has more than meets the eye.
Let me cut you short because time is not on our side. Time is actually over. But let me read a few SMSs that we have had. Someone here is saying, in Swahili, show iko sawa. Thank you for the comment. 22162 is our number. SMS are starting with the word news. The hashtag is Y254 updates, at Y254 on Twitter, Facebook, at Ram Aguko. Let me read just a few. Let me sample out. Someone here is saying that this is at Wasuna, says, but doesn't the fact that they play along to these schemes also bring into question and focus their morality? Okay, I see you support that. Someone is saying, it's a tale of two sides committing wrong, then one side trying to absolve itself by claiming that the other side has done more wrong. Okay, someone is saying that this is at Bagaka. He's saying, a thief once caught may shout thief louder. Okay, I think that's a problem. But thank you for coming to the panel.
Asante.
Did you have I think we should have a closing remarks. Yeah, but I think 30 seconds. I think this is the thing for us is you see, it's difficult to regulate morality. Very difficult. And this is why the law sometimes is difficult to regulate. But as a Kenyans, we all aspire as political leadership towards attaining the Chapter 6 of the Constitution. I mean, this has nothing to do with whatever people say in the public. Live by Chapter 6 of the Constitution and you'll be safe. That's just it.
Final one, my brother.
I'm just saying, yes. I'll just echo his words. I mean, what we are seeing is a reflection of us. So it's time for us to Kenyans to think about ourselves.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you.
This has been the discussion. Are politicians being targeted by scammers? Are politicians being targeted by scammers? Keep the conversation going on our social media platform. My name is Ram Aguko. Remember, stay tuned to Y254 because up next is Y Mashariki with presenter Ali and DJ Tieska on the decks. My name is Ram Aguko on Facebook, Twitter at Ram Aguko. Make sure that you also follow us at Y254 on all social media platforms. Hashtag Y254 updates. For now, I want to say thank you on behalf of each and every person that ensured that today's bulletin was a success. Thank you very much. May God bless you. Have a good night.
Y254.